Let's parent the way we needed to be parented, especially now because we have different resources. We are healing so our children don't need therapy for our fuck ups. Hey guys, welcome back to Is It Tuesday podcast. I'm Cris Cavallari. I'm going to have an art show to show off my photography through the lens of a mother, right? And I can't take credit for all of this, but I can say that I've been taking photos for a really long time. And at this current moment, and for the last few years, the subject has been my son. Um, as I said before, my love for photography and videography comes from wanting to leave something for my children and my grandchildren to look back on and see who I was, what I was doing, whatever, but also seeing themselves and just having a story with the picture. Um, because a lot of times we see old pictures of our grandparents and we see like little Polaroids and it says like New Year's 1983, right? But we don't know where they were, what they was doing, who they were with, why they chose that outfit, whatever, right? So I was talking to a friend of mine and he's like, you should put on an art show and da 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 da. And I won't say too much of it of what will be at this show, but I will say that the subject will be through the lens of a mother. And I thought about it before he said to make this a live thing. I thought about it because I do it at home where, if there's a picture that Goliath has taken of me or something, I always want to just jot down what was going on at that time. How was I feeling? Was I working through a breakup? Was I struggling to see the brighter side of things? Like what was going on? And although I'm in this place now of acceptance, freedom, and it is what it is. Everything is written, but we do have a choice to go this way or that way. Um, so really we don't have a choice. We just can go this way or that way. The things that are on both ends are already written. But I think about the way he's smiling in this one photo, the way the locks is they're falling across his face and he's just lit up and he's just excited with this little blue hoodie on. And I often wonder if we knew what our parents were going through when they were raising us, could we have a little bit more grace with them? Not everyone is in a position of financial freedom. Not everyone has a is it Tuesday, a break. Um, I've experienced both. I've had Tuesdays and Thursdays and every other weekend for quite some time. Then I had no breaks for months at a time, more than once. But I've always had a great support system with my family. But I often think, what if I didn't have that? What if I didn't have the means to just come into the studio, record, leave by one to go to a doctor's appointment and I can move freely? What if the fears that I had during that pregnancy became reality? You know what I'm saying? Right now, thank God, nothing but God has placed me in this position to have a little wiggle room, a little bit of freedom. And it's not saying that everything is perfect, but it's saying that I'm grateful. We have food, we have running water, we have a home. But what if we were in a different circumstance? Like, how would my child understand that me being snappy was due to lack of finances? Me being snappy was because I was tired. I think that children deserve to know you as a person, not just a mom or a dad, um, because then they'll understand a little bit more. then they'll know how to handle their emotions when trials and tribulations come about. I don't know if I spoke about this on the last episode or whatever episode, because it's probably, I'm going to say the same thing because I'm actually living it. I really enjoy dancing at home, and my son is now, he's seen me do this his whole entire life, so he's dancing along with me, or he's putting on his songs and we're singing and dancing to those songs. But I'll randomly start crying. I've never cried so much in my life like I've been crying lately. And a lot of times we put crying and sadness together, but I'm really literally crying because of happiness and gratitude. And wow, God, I'm happy I stayed a little bit longer, and I'm happy that I'm seeing how things are actually unfolding. All we could do is play our part in our lives, right? And there's going to be other characters in our lives that play their part, but when it comes down to it, their story will be their story, right? But I think about how I am only in control over, and still very smidget. I'm really not. We don't have the final say in you know what's in our universe. We can welcome these things and we can say no, but when it comes down to it, I can only control what I can control, which is myself. Which means in my home, I can control the energy in there. If my energy is balanced out, if I am taking care of myself and getting up an hour early this morning. Goliath said, "Why do you always get up before me?" He doesn't know, because I want to have time to shit without him on my lap. He doesn't understand that I want to, do my makeup, or, not feel rushed. So in order to do that, that's the sacrifice of me getting up a little bit earlier so I can have a little bit of me time in between time. Even if you don't have a full day, a full weekend to yourself, you have to start, moving things around. What makes sense? Put your phone down, turn the TV off, meditate, pray, actually eat a meal, and not just the leftover food that was on your child's plate. But the more and more and more he gets to ask these questions, and instead of doing what was done before, as when we were kids, like, because I can, because I said so. I don't mind giving a reason. I don't mind saying, "Hey, I'm tired right now," or "Sorry, I was a little tired," or "I just need a minute." And there's a video up on my business page, shop.icon, which is the branding page, where I'm doing a style video, and I'm doing a voiceover, cuz the shit is never just one two, right? Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But I'm just doing a style video, and he comes in, and he's in the room with me. He loves editing. He loves videos, and he loves, he's 6, so he's into that whole YouTube, he's into all of that stuff. But anyway, the audio for the video, he just says, like, "I'm going to have some alone time." I'm trying to do a voiceover for a video for work. And in the audio, he literally just starts talking. He don't care about none of that, kids, whatever. So he goes, "I'm going to have some alone time." And I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Yeah." And I left that audio up. And that video got like almost 4 million views, but it was funny because there were so many comments from women saying, "I wish I could just say, I'm going to have some alone time. I'll be right back. I'm going to have some alone time." One thing children are here to teach you, if you're willing to learn, is that they're very selfish with what they want and their time, and it's not a bad thing. They say what they need at that moment if they can talk. We know 1-year-old, sometimes they're still crying and, cranky, frustrated. But it only gets to that place when someone's not hearing them, or someone's not understanding what they're trying to say. So I was reading the comments, and I instantly realized that he has a safe space at home to say what he needs when he needs it. to say how he feels as he's feeling it, and it's teaching me something. It's something that we do at home, but I'm not sure if I necessarily do it outside. I don't think a lot of us do that outside. I think a lot of us have this I don't care attitude or something doesn't matter when it does. There's freedom in our home, but I noticed that a lot of us want kids to have opinions outside, but not at home. At home, it's because I said so, because I'm the parent, because I'm bigger than you, and I pay the bills. You know, we went for a walk after school, and it was a festival. We stopped over, and this little kid, he's playing with his ball, and they have like this little parachutey thing, and the little boy wants to do something, and the dad's like yelling at him. And I'm looking, and the little boy says something about his ball, and he's like, "Actually, it's my ball because I bought it." And I was looking at him, and I was like, "Dang." The little boy was only 3. We know you purchased it, sir. But it's that trying to control something because you can't control everything else around you. You know, trying to dictate how these little people feel because you can't say how you feel about your emotions. That's how deep I went with it. I understand that he could have just been talking about this fucking ball. But in my mind, because I'm in a space of giving grace, I always think like, what freedom didn't you have? Because now you're trying to take his away. It is such an amazing feeling to do things differently when you know better or when you know what you needed as a child. And letting children say how they feel is not being disrespectful. Just because they say no doesn't mean it's being disrespectful. I think we have to remember that giving and receiving is still a thing even with children. And a lot of us were not taught that. A lot of us is like, what I say goes because I said so. Like, you could get out. Like, we don't raise our kids like that anymore. Well, at least I don't. I can't speak for 16-year-old Crystal when she was a mom, but Crystal at 39 is allowing reciprocity with a 6-year-old. I'm allowing questions or for him to say, I don't like that. I'm not forcing him to do things. That's his body. He's in control over his little self. As long as he's not hurting himself, I give him that space. I want all the moms that's watching this to understand one thing: energy is transferable. However, you're feeling, your child feels that from the time they were in your room to now being in the room with you, down the hall in their room with you. Although they're not hearing what you're saying, they're feeling how you feel. So if you're struggling with trying to figure out why you should go through it to get through it, look at your babies. If I've done nothing else right, I know that our home and the environment that I've curated is a safe haven. I also do this thing that a bunch of other people, moms, black moms before me, it's a big no no. I never say, don't tell nobody our business. When Goliath was having a little rough patch, you know, I let the school know. I let the principal know. I let his teacher know. I let the guidance counselor know. Hey, he's having a rough time. This is what he's going through. So just in case he's not having a great day, this could be a part of what's going on. You know why? Because instead of being labeled as a disruptive kid or a kid that, you know, just X, Y, and Z, now they know. A lot of times we do that as adults. We act out, but no one knows what we're going through. You're driving and you cuss somebody out because something else is happening, and you need to just release. I'm learning more and more and more to give my child exactly what I needed. By giving him what I needed is allowing me to understand that I still can give that to myself. I see it, you know, I understand it now. We needed hugs. We needed, conversations back and forth, not just authority of because I said so. You can't raise strong children and then in the house you're not allowing them to be strong and opinionated. You can't we're not trying to raise a bunch of yes people. Allow them to ask questions. Allow them to be honest with you. Shit. It might hurt your feelings because they're gonna tell you your breath stink or they don't like your hair or things like that. But the more and more we release control, we'll everything will move freely and how it's supposed to be. At this point, I'm a nah, I am a life coach, but only because I've been through it and I got through it. And I made a promise to myself. I made a promise to myself and I'm keeping promises. Dang. We really out here growing. We really out here growing, thriving and shit. We ain't think we was gonna make it. I didn't think I was gonna make it. Maybe that was just the fear of other people, but at one point it was a little cloudy for me. That's funny. All weekend we were dancing to just the two of us. We can make it if we try, just the two of us. You and I. Why do you keep playing that song? And I'm like, just makes me happy. You gotta set the tone in your home. You gotta set the tone in your car on the way to school. Did y'all see that? Did y'all see that video of the mom like in the car and beeping and the little girl like all her stuff falling out her book bag and they stressing her out? And she's like, hold on, I gotta get my shoes. Hold on. Like she cussing and shit. And everybody's like, it's funny, right? To them. And I'm like, you putting that trauma on that child before she go to school. How we doing that for a bunch of like? Let's stop doing that to black kids. Let's stop doing that to kids. But since we black, let me just say that. Stop doing that to black kids. Stop sending them out with a scattered mindset because you want to make fun of them on the internet. Let's parent the way we needed to be parented, especially now because we have different resources and we can do things differently. Like I could leave right now. I got a doctor's appointment at 2. I can have lunch before I got to get him at 4. Like we are healing so our children don't need therapy for our fuck ups. And that's not to say that they still won't need something because the outside world still plays a huge part of it. Different households, different schedules. All we can't dictate how it'll affect them later, but I know I can do my part now. Girl, look, ain't no handbook. Ain't no handbook to this thing. Ain't no handbook to dating, life, friendships, we gotta really just roll with the punches, and figure it out as we go along. But as I'm sitting still, I'm understanding like, oh, I could release that and not do the things that were done. I can do things differently. I can ask for help and not be embarrassed. Every time you see a mom out and a kid acting up, the first thing she want to do is apologize. And I always tell people, I'm like, child, my especially if I don't have my son with me, my son acts the same way because I don't want to shame another mom. If anything, I just want to tell you, you have the opportunity to change all of that shit around. You have the opportunity to leave what happened at work at work. You have the opportunity to say, you know what, this relationship, I really want one. I really looking for partnership, but this is causing a little bit of chaos, and we have a peaceful life. So if you're coming, you can come to add, but you can't come to subtract. I really am thinking about all of the things that would affect these children when we're no longer here. So that was a recap for this week. I be wanting to have light conversations, and I know people like, oh, talk about this. And I be like, that shit don't matter in my life. I don't want to talk about what's on the shade room every other day. I don't want to talk about somebody else's trials and tribulations. Bitch, who am I? I'm not no better than them. I'm going through it too, girl. I just changed the perspective. I've just really shift how I'm looking at things. And I hope that while you're here with me, you're able to do that too. Shift some shit around. You know, I move furniture around all the time, and my friends always laugh and joke, like, what you moving furniture around? Yes. Yes. I move things around as they may, like, oh, this don't work right here. Let's try it over here. I want to see more sunlight. Let's put the chair this way so I can look into the sky. I want white sheets because I want to feel like I'm on vacation. Like certain things I will do now to make sure my mental health is in check. Because once you slip into these places, and that's what I think about, what did I need? Because sometimes kids can't articulate what they need, and they're suffering silently too. Just have some grace this week, okay? I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in to Is It Tuesday podcast, and I'll see you soon.